Okay, guys, I just wanted to basically show how to use a slide guide for the Hapstone V8 M3 earlier models, stuff like that. At least how I do it. I couldn't find any real instructions on how to set it up. If you uh, just kind of try and use it the way it is normally, uh, you end up with this moving around a lot. Now, one way you can get by this is to just pinch it like this here, and you just kind of, I set the knife on here so I can gauge kind of roughly where I want it. And most knives, I go pretty close to the magnet, and then I just screw it down. Usually, I don't really worry about this piece. I try and do the magnet first. The magnet, it's not, or the centerpiece, not the magnet. On the tire side. And what that does is it gets rid of a lot of the slop when you tighten down that centerpiece. So it still gives you that range of motion, I guess you'd need. But it still has a little bit of give in there. You know, it's not too dramatic. I have this unscrewed so I can bring it in a little closer. So that gets rid of a lot of that play when you tighten down that center screw. And then if you take these are just a little health card. It's just basically a thin card I cut some strips out of. I found a Visa debit card or credit card to be too thick. So maybe if you don't have like one of these plastic health cards, they're just they print your information on there so you can go in between floors and stuff. I just cut the corners off where it was flat so it would slide in nicely. But if you don't have something like that, you can use, let's say, like a temporary Visa, not a temporary pay-as-you-go or a gift card, something like that. Something that's thinner. Maybe a business card would be like that too, one of the plastic ones, or possibly even a paper one would work, cardstock. Something like that. Anyway, just to get that slop out. Now this thing doesn't even move. Like there's absolutely no give to it. So then what do is I set this here and I take it and I look at the knife. If when I straighten it up roughly straight, you want it so it's so the tip is off. So that's roughly what you want. So what I'm going to do is feel down here, and you want it to be roughly straight as it can be. So now what I'll do is I'll just take this down, tighten it, so that's nice and tight. And this centerpiece is actually in a pretty good position, but what I am going to do is set this down. Set it down for a second here. And I'm going to push it out just a smidge, like that. I'll show you guys. So I have it like that. So just the tip's just barely off that edge, because you want it as close to this table as possible, but you also want the blade to be as straight as possible, so you get this same consistent angle throughout. And then you get that nice even bevel going across the knife. So that's how you use that. Now I'll just show you here. If we push against that plunge grind, you got to make sure everything's touching. And then it should leave you. This is really awkward trying to do this like this. Should leave you roughly in the same position when you flip it. So it'd be this, and I had it over here first. So now when you take this off, I'm just gonna kind of run through that with you real quick, because I noticed something when I was doing this. If you try and push on it, what happens when you push on it is this could be loose, and you could, for instance, my screw right here is loose. Apparently I forgot to tighten that one. Still nice and square though. But if you push on this, what can happen is, because there's a little bit of, you know, give normally, and it'll kick one way or the other, and we don't want that to happen. So like I said, I always pinch the center here when I'm trying to line it up with these sections here, and that's how you know it's nice and straight. Is you get a nice smooth surface here. You can't get your nail or anything on there. You don't have to be that dramatic about it. You just pinch it. So yeah, and that's how I tell it's straight. But what you want to do, what I was trying to say is, when you're taking off, you don't want to push this way or wiggle it like this. You want to twist the knife up like this and then pull off, because that way you avoid pushing on this and just getting that all out of whack. You don't want to get down to your last stone or into the polishing films and then try and have to find the edge again with a Sharpie, because you can probably get it really close, but a lot of the times, you know, you get that little bit at the edge and you have to work at it for a while to get the burr up, or if you're using lapping films, you don't really want to create a burr. You just want to polish it and move on to the next stage. You want to keep that burr to a minimum, because at that point you're not really moving much material, you're just refining the edge. So that's just something to keep in mind. It'll save you a lot of problems later on as you're going through the stages. So that's that. And it, you know, it gives you just if you look here, you can see if anything happens. Like I said, if you bump it, but as long as you flip the knife up and then pull down and take it off, you're fine. So just tip it up, pull back. Now, one thing I do recommend is covering this in tape, because these magnets are really hard, and you know, you get abrasives and stuff on there. The tape, you can just take it off each time and it's nice and clean after, or once it starts to wear anyway. So yeah. Another thing I did is I put some indicator marks along the edge here for my magnets, so when I was doing larger knives, I can just go down to the same position on each side, and then I roughly know that I'm in the same position when I flip the knife. It should self-center again. So that's just another little tip. So that's how you use the Hapstone V8 setup there. I would highly recommend making some marker marks every 1/4 inch. That's what I did. I used a pair of calipers to scratch it, and then I put a marker line there. That's what I did. It's not really what you need to do. You can just do it with any old marker and measuring tape, really. So yeah, it's a nice system. It's very consistent, especially once you figure out, you know, the little things to it, I should say. Like, I didn't understand how to use it when I got it. Like, I didn't understand how to make this stable, and you know, if I pinched in here, that it would just stay straight. And if I tighten down the centerpiece, I can pretty much move this at will, and everything will stay nice and square. And there's no play. So there's that. It just makes things much less complex. I'm going to be doing some other videos on how to set up for the rest of the sharpening process, finding your edge with a marker, setting up with your angle cube and everything else, and setting up all the bump stops, all that stuff. I got another video on how I centered my Hapstone module, or R2 module coming up. I made that so when I flip it, it's off usually a 10th of a degree at most. Right now it's at 0. I got it down to 0, so it's the same degree every time. And I've taken a knife out and put it back in, and so on and so forth. Like this knife, I just put it in here to test whether it was centering properly. Now, if you're looking at those two and you haven't purchased anything yet, I'd recommend this over the R2 module. The R2 module is actually really nice once you get it set up. So let's say you got it like this one. You know, I figured everything out. Like the one I have over here now, when I flip it, it's at the same angle. So now it's much more reliable, but this is still better with full flat grounds anyway. So I'm going to film a short video on how to do that now, so keep an eye out for it. I'm going to try and just push them out with no editing on them. Anyway, there'll be a sharpening video, like I said, coming up on that. I'll show how to set everything up and then go through it all again. But I just wanted a short video of how to use that. The modular setup from Hapstone is really nice. Machining's good. You know, it's all metal. If you do get this and you don't have this slide guide, or not slide guide, the vertical blade support, I highly recommend getting it because it's definitely helpful if you elbow cracked. If you're doing a blade like this Benchmade, because this flat section here can make it rock. It's just helpful because that'll put pressure up on the blade and then it won't rock anymore. So yeah. If you're interested in sharpening in general, you want to see how I sharpen on my systems. I have a few other systems. I have this, the V8, I have the R2, I have the Worksharp Precision Adjust, I have a few other systems. Gonna be doing videos on all of them one at a time, and then I'll kind of rotate through them, just doing random sharpening. And like I said, tips and tricks and different types of sharpening. If you're interested in sharpening in general, I recommend subscribing. It helps my channel too. It helps with YouTube algorithm if I get likes and comments and stuff like that. So if you found the video interesting, leave a comment below, a like. Anything helps really. Subscribe. That's a huge help. In all honesty, I need to hit 1,000 before I can really do much of anything. With the way the new YouTube is all set up, I used to have an older channel and then I got rid of it. So trying to build this one up, but yeah, I'll go through polishing with films and stuff like that. These are just KME sized ones. That's why they look so small. Anyway, hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.